Good morning to everyone. Myself, Srilata, working as a chemistry PGT in Adoni KGBV General, Kurnool district. Okay, today we are going to be discuss about the solutions and colligative properties, which is the second lesson in second year chemistry syllabus. Okay, already the introduction part of this lesson was explained by the Uma ma'am in the previous class. Okay, so before entering into the lesson, so just let us recall the basic concepts which are related to this chapter. Okay, first of all, the definition of a solution. What is the mean solution? Solution is nothing but it is an homogeneous mixture of two or more components. Two or more components is called as a solution. What is the definition of a solution? It is an homogeneous mixture of two or more components is called as a solution. If the solution contains only two components, that is called as a binary solution. So binary solution means what? If the solution contains only two components, that is called as a binary solution. So it contains only two components, that is one component it can be called as a solute and another component can be called as solvent. Solute and solvent. Okay. So binary solution is nothing but the solution which contains only two components is called as a binary solution. So binary solution contains two components, one is a solute and another one is a solvent. So let us define about the solute and solvent. So what is mean solute? So here we can define in different ways. Let us see what are those. Okay, solute. Solute is nothing but the lesser component in a solution. The lesser component in a solution can be called as solute. And also the dissolved component. The dissolved component can also be called as a solute, or we can say the dispersed phase. Dispersed phase can also be called as a solute, or the compound which can lose its physical state. Can also be called as solute, but not in all cases. That means in some cases, some of the solutes can lose its physical state. In some solutions or in some situations, solute cannot lose its physical state. Okay. Next, it is about the solute. Solute is nothing but the lesser component which is present in the solution is called as a solute, and the dissolved component is called as a solute, and the dispersion phase or the component which can lose its physical state can also be called as a solute. These are the different types, different ways of expression of a solute. Next one is a solvent. Solvent is nothing but greater component which is present in a solution is called as a solvent, and also the dispersion medium. The dispersion medium can also be called as a solvent, or the dissolving component. Dissolving component can also be called as solute, or the substance which can retain its physical state. Retain its physical state is called as a solvent. So solvent can be defined as the greater component which is present in the solution, or the dispersion medium, or the dissolving component, or the substance which can retain its physical state is called as a solvent. So it is about the solution. Homogeneous mixture of two or more components is called as a solution. So if the solution contains only two components, that is called a binary solution. That means binary solution contains only two components are solute and solvent. These are the definitions of solute and solvent. Next, what is it? Give some of the examples for solution. Yes. So it is a salt dissolved in water and sugar dissolved in water. These are the basic examples of a solution. Okay. So in this one, salt and sugar are present in lesser proportion or lesser component. Okay, now here we can write lesser proportion also. Lesser component or lesser proportion. Here also greater proportion. You can write like this also. Lesser proportion or greater proportion. Okay. So here in the examples, what we take examples as sugar solution, salt solution. In the sugar solution, salt solution, sugar and salt both are called as a solutes and the water is called as a solvent. Okay. Here one more thing is salt can also be called as a universal solvent. That means the water can dissolve so many compounds in it. So that's why water can be considered as a universal solvent. So it is about the introduction of this chapter. And also after this, so you learn about the concentration terms. That means here after the definition of a solution, so we have to calculate the concentration of a solution. So here the concentration of a solution can be expressed in different ways. Okay, those are molarity, modality, normality and mole fraction and weight by weight and also mass by weight. These are the different types of expression of a concentration of a solution. Okay, next let's see about the solubility. Solubility. Solubility is nothing but maximum amount of substance that can dissolve in specified amount of solvent at specified temperature is called as solubility. Solubility is nothing but maximum amount of solute, maximum amount of solute that can dissolve in specified amount of solvent at specified temperature or at same temperature. Same temperature is called as solubility. Solubility is nothing but maximum amount of solute that can dissolve in specified amount of solvent at specified temperature is called as a solubility. Here solubility can be affected by the three factors. That is, the first one is nature of solute and solvent. Nature of solute and solvent. And the second factor is temperature. Second factor is temperature. And the third one is pressure. That means the solubility may be affected by these three factors. Nature of solute and solvent, temperature and also pressure. Now let us see how these factors are affecting on solubility. So before going to discuss about that one, so how many types of solutions are there here? We have totally 9 types of solutions. Based on the physical state of solute and solvent, we can classify the solutions into 9 types, or we have the 9 types of solutions. Okay, suppose solute and solvent. Here, solute can be present in the form of solid, liquid or gas. In the same way, solvent also can be present in the form of solid, liquid or gas. So here solute is, that means solid solute can dissolve in solid solvent. It can form one type of solution, and solid in liquid another solution, solid in gas another solution. That means like this we have the totally we have the 9 types of solutions. In those 9 types, the important ones, important one are the topics which we are discussing in this chapter is solid in liquid type of solution and also gas in liquid type of solutions. So about these types of solutions only we are going to be discuss about in this chapter. Okay. The first one is solubility of a solid in liquid. Solubility of solid in liquid. Solubility of solid substance. Solubility of solid substance in liquid or in liquid solvent. Okay now. So for this one also the three factors are affecting, that is the solubility of a solid substance in liquid can also be affected by these three factors. Nature of solute and solvent, temperature and pressure. What is the first factor? Nature of solute and solvent. Nature of solute and solvent. So what is in the nature of solute and solvent? Here solute can be present. Here we are taking the solid solute. Okay now. So in those solids also the solid may be polar in nature or non-polar in nature. In the same way liquid. What is the solvent here? Liquid. Here solute is solid and the solvent is liquid. Here solid means what is the solid substance? It can be called as solute. And what is the liquid substance? It is solvent. Here we are dissolving solid substance in liquid substance. So solid is called solid. The state of a solid is solute. Solid substance can be called as a solute and the liquid substance can be called as a solvent. So in those solid substances also it may be polar or non-polar in nature. Okay now. So for the solid substance solute, that means solutes may be present as two types. One is polar solutes and non-polar solutes. Polar solutes and non-polar solutes. So polar solutes are nothing but the solutes which are polar in nature, and non-polar means which are not non-polar in nature. Okay. So example for the polar solutes are sugar and salt. Sugar and salt. And non-polar solutes examples as naphthalene and anthracene. Naphthalene and anthracene. The polar solutes examples as sugar and salt. Non-polar solutes examples as naphthalene and anthracene. Suppose here, now dissolve sugar in water. Here these are the polar solutes and these are the non-polar solutes. Now we have to take the liquid, that is solvent. Here I am taking two types of liquids. One is in water and another one is in benzene. Here solvent. Solvent also may be present in two forms. One is a polar solvent and another one is a non-polar solvent. Polar solvent and non-polar solvent. Okay. So polar solvent example is water and non-polar example is benzene. Okay. So now dissolve sugar into water. What we can observe? Here add some amount of sugar to the water. What we can observe? Sugar can dissolve in water. In the same way, add some amount of salt to the water. What we can observe here? The dissolving of salt in water we can observe. And now take benzene as a solvent and add some amount of sugar to the benzene. What we can observe? Here we are not observing the dissolving property or solubility. Here we are not observing any solubility of a sugar or dissolving of sugar in benzene. So here solubility is not taking place. And also in the same way, add some amount of salt to the benzene. In this case also we cannot observe the solubility of a salt in benzene. So it is nothing but that means sugar and salt can soluble in water but not in benzene. Okay, sugar and salt can soluble in water but not in benzene. And in the same way, take naphthalene and anthracene. So naphthalene add into the water. So takes place. And add these substances, that means these are non-polar in nature. The non-polar solute can add to the non-polar solvent, that means benzene. They can soluble. It is nothing but polar solute can soluble in polar solvents and non-polar solute can soluble in non-polar solvents. What is happening means polar solute means it is having poles, positive and negative poles. Suppose take here salt, NaCl. NaCl, that means it is an anion compound, so it can dissociate into Na plus ions and Cl minus ions. And next take water. So water contains H plus ions and OH minus ions. It is also an anion compound. So polar solute and polar solvent. So these are having opposite charge ions and here also having opposite charge ions. Here sodium ions can form a bond with OH minus ions. That means it can pair with opposite charge species. So due to this, salt can dissolve in water because both are polar in nature. Salt is also polar in nature and water is also polar in nature. Okay. And next take non-polar substance, that means naphthalene. Naphthalene does not contain any poles. Okay. So that's why they cannot dissolve in water because it is a polar solvent. So based on this we can say that light dissolves light. Light dissolves light. That means polar solutes can dissolve in polar solvents and non-polar solutes can dissolve in non-polar solvents. It is about the nature of solute and solvent or solubility. So solubility may be affected by the three factors. One is the nature of solute and solvent, temperature and pressure. So first we are checking the solubility of solid substance in liquids. Okay, first one, nature of solute and solvent. So in this one, solute may be present as polar solutes or non-polar solutes. Okay, next solvent also may be present in the form of polar solvent or non-polar solvent. So polar solutes examples are sugar and salt, and the non-polar solutes examples as naphthalene and anthracene. So these are the inorganic compounds, these two are the organic compounds. And non-polar solvents examples are water and the solvents. Polar solvent example is water and non-polar solvent example is benzene. So here the polar solvents can dissolve in polar solutes can dissolve in polar solvents and non-polar solutes can dissolve in non-polar solvents. So based on this we can say that light dissolves light. And next one is an effect of temperature on solubility of solid substance in liquid. Okay, effect of temperature. Effect of temperature. Okay. Next, before going to discuss about the temperature factor on solubility of a substance, solubility of a solid substance in liquid. So solutions can have the two types again. One is in saturated solution and another one is in unsaturated solution. Saturated solution and unsaturated solutions. Okay, here already we know the different types of solutions. So here based on the solubility also we can classify the solutions into two types. One is a saturated solution and unsaturated solution, or dissolving capacity of a substance. We can classify the solutions into saturated solutions and unsaturated solutions. Saturated solution means what? Saturated means here saturated solution means, suppose here take a beaker which is filled with water. Okay, here we are not changing the quantity of a water or solvent. To this add 1 tablespoon of sugar. 1 tablespoon of sugar. What we can observe here? So the sugar can dissolve in water. Okay, and next add 1 more. What we can observe? But after adding sugar, we have to stir it. So if the sugar can dissolve in water and they can form the homogeneous, also can soluble in water. So if you are taking like this means after 3 or 4 or 5 tablespoons of sugar, so we can reach a stage, that means 3 tablespoons of sugar cannot dissolve in water, that is placed at the bottom of the container. Bottom of the container as a solid substance. Okay. Suppose here saturated solution is nothing but, so in this experiment we are taking the some amount of water and we are not changing the quantity of water here. Next we are adding sugar to it. Okay now. So first of all we are adding only 1 tablespoon of sugar into it. After stirring, what we can observe that sugar totally dissolved in water. And next add 1 more tablespoon of sugar to the same water or same solution. So it can also dissolve. And take 3rd spoon of sugar also. So it can dissolve. After 4th one or after 5th one. So whenever you are repeating the same thing, the solution cannot take further amount of sugar into it. That means the sugar cannot dissolve in the solution and it can be placed at the bottom of the container. That is called as a saturated solution. It is nothing but the solution in which no more solute can be dissolved in it at same temperature. At same temperature is called as a saturated solution. Saturated solutions are nothing but how we can define these saturated solutions. The solutions in which no more solute can be dissolved in it at same temperature is called as a saturated solution. Okay, and next one is an unsaturated solution. So here unsaturated solution. So unsaturated solution is nothing but the solution in which more solute can be dissolved in it without rising temperature. Without rising temperature is called as an unsaturated solution. The definition of an unsaturated solution is the solutions in which the solutions in which more solute can be dissolved in it without rising temperature is called as an unsaturated solution. So saturated solution is nothing but the solution in which no more solute can be dissolved in it at same temperature is called as saturated solution. That means, so here after adding the continuous addition of the solute to the solution or solvent, so the solution will reach to the point, at that point it cannot dissolve more amount of solute in it at the same temperature. Here we are not changing the temperature and also here we are not changing the quantity of a solvent also. Next, at that situation the solvent cannot dissolve the more amount of solute in it. That solution is called as a saturated solution. So for this one we can take the example as, so making of a sugar syrup is a perfect example for the saturated solutions. So here how we are making this sugar syrup, so here we are adding little amount of water to that, we are adding more amount of the sugar. That means after adding some amount of sugar, that means suppose take a cup of water. Okay now, cup of water to that, so add a half cup of sugar, so it can dissolve. Okay, then after add another half cup of sugar to it. So what we can observe, it can also dissolve. The next add 1 more cup of sugar to that water. So what we can observe here, that sugar cannot dissolve in water because water can dissolve in some amount of the solute only, that is already we are added, that means already we are given to it, and again we are adding further amount of solute, that is sugar to that water, means it cannot dissolve in it. That means water cannot dissolve in more amount of solute in it. That type of solutions is called a saturated solution. In these solutions, we can observe the presence of solute particles in the solution remain as it is. That means these are not dissolving in water. That means the solubility process is not taking place further. So that's why the solute particles remains in the solution as it is. So that is an example for the saturated solution. Here we are not changing the quantity of water, and also here we are not changing the temperature. That means here we are not raising the temperature also. Okay now. Next one is, so at this situation, so what we can observe here, so this is a saturated solution. Next, for this saturated solution, if we increase the temperature, so here the sugar is present in the water. The taken water in making of sugar syrup, the sugar is present in water. Okay. Next, it means, so if you want to make a sugar syrup, means the sugar completely should dissolve in water. Okay. So what we can do here, we have to raise the temperature. We have to increase the temperature. We have to heat the content. Heating of content is nothing but rising of temperature. So whenever we are raising the temperature, what we can observe here, the dissolving of sugar substance in water we can observe. That means here, by increasing of temperature, solubility will increases. Okay now. So here, whenever we are making already after the formation of a saturated solution, if we want to increase the solubility of that solution, means we can raise the temperature of that solution by giving heat. Okay. So whenever we are heating the substance, the solute particles which are present in the saturated solution will dissolve in water, and the solubility process increases. So that's why by increasing of temperature, solubility will increases. Next comes unsaturated solution. What is unsaturated solution? The definition of an unsaturated solution is the solution in which more solute can be dissolved in it without rising temperature. So it is the unsaturated solution definition. It is nothing but here just the same example. So take a cup of water, that means take 100 ml of water, and to this 100 ml of water add 1 cup of sugar. 1 cup of sugar. So the 1 cup of sugar can dissolve in this water. That is called the unsaturated solution. It means it is ready to take further amount of solute. Without rising the temperature. So even after adding the 1 cup of sugar, first of all add only half cup of sugar. Okay. Here we are taking 100 ml of water. To this we are adding half cup of sugar. So to this half cup of sugar can dissolve in water. Okay, and again also we can add some more amount of solute to this solvent, solute to this water. So that solute also can dissolve in water, or water can be dissolved or can dissolve in the further amount of solute whenever we are adding. That type of solutions are called as an unsaturated solution. Here solution is ready to take the solute to dissolve in it. But here the solution cannot take further amount of solute for the solubility process. Okay. So that is called as an unsaturated solution. So in saturated solution, what we are observing, by rising of the temperature, solubility increases. But unsaturated solution, by rising of the temperature, solubility will decreases. It is opposite to that. Okay, now it is the effect of temperature on solubility of a solid substance in liquids. Okay, now, so first of all, take the saturated solution and unsaturated solutions. So for saturated solution, here we are not raising the temperature for the solubility. That means saturated solution means just we are adding the amount of solute to the solvent, but here solvent is not ready to take more amount of solute for the dissolving. Okay, so that's why the solute particles will remain in the solution. That type of solutions are called as saturated solutions. And next one is so that's why. So if you want to dissolve the total amount of solute what we are added to the solution or solvent, in the solvent means we have to increase the temperature. By raising of the temperature, the solute particles are present in the solution can dissolve in the solvent and they can form the homogeneous mixture. And next here, in the unsaturated solution, the solvent is ready to take more amount of solute because it is not saturated with amount of the solute. So that's why here by rising of the temperature, the solubility process increases. And also here, so here we are giving the temperature. That means the delta H value is negative because it is absorbing heat energy. Whenever the solubility increases means when the solubility increases by rising of the temperature. Rising of temperature is nothing but here we are giving the temperature, we are giving the heat to the content. So that's why the delta H value is negative. Whenever the delta H value is negative means delta S value is also negative. What is the delta H? Delta H is nothing but change in enthalpy and delta S is nothing but change in entropy. Okay now. So entropy is nothing but what? Disorderness. Okay now. Already about these two factors we studied in the first year class thermodynamics chapter. Okay. So there is no need to explain further. So delta H for the saturated solutions, the delta H value is negative and also delta S value is also negative. Automatically the delta G value is also negative. Delta G is nothing but change in the Gibbs free energy. And next factor is the pressure. It is about the temperature. How the temperature is showing effect on solubility of solid substances in liquids. And next one is the pressure. So for pressure, so to this one, if pressure increases, what happens? Suppose take here what we are taking the solid and solvent both are present in solid and liquid form. Here we are adding solid substance to the liquid. Okay now. So what is we observe the more effect of pressure on solids and liquid substances? No, we can't observe the significance effect. So that's why by the pressure also doesn't shows the significant effect on solubility of solid substances in liquids. Okay now. So in the pressure factor, what we can write here? We can't observe the significance effect. No significant effect. No significant effect. That means here both are the solids and liquids. When we press the solids and liquid substances, the compressibility is very less when compared to the gases. So that's why the solubility also not, that means the pressure is not showing that much effect on solubility of solid substances in liquids. So why it is not showing the significant effect means because of the less compressible. Because of the less compressibility. Okay now, less compressible. Pressure is not showing that much effect on solubility of solids and liquids. Okay now, it is about the solubility of solid substances in liquids. Next, let us see about the solubility of gas in liquid. Okay now, so here we are discussing about the two types of solutions. So one is a solid in liquid and liquid, so gas in liquid. And the next one is solubility of gas in liquid. Solubility of gas in liquid. Okay. So in this one, what is the first factor? Nature of solute and solvent. Nature of solute and solvent. So what we discussed here, polar solutes and non-polar solutes. Same way here also polar solutes and non-polar solutes and polar solvents and non-polar solvents we can take. So for that one, so take HCl. So what is HCl? HCl gas. Take the HCl gas. HCl gas. So HCl gas is polar in nature because it can form H plus ions and Cl minus ions. Okay now. So dissolve this H plus, that means HCl gas in water. So water means it is also polar in nature. Already we discussed. it can dissolve in polar solvent. That means HCl gas can dissolve in water because both are in the same nature, polar solute and polar solvent. Okay now. And next one is, now suppose take the examples as H2, O2 and N2 gases. H2, O2 and N2. So what are these gases? These are also gases, but these are non-polar gases. Hydrogen gas, oxygen gas and nitrogen gas. They can't dissolve in water. So in these three, oxygen only can dissolve in water to some extent only. To some extent. To some extent only, oxygen can dissolve in water and other two cannot dissolve in water because those are non-polar in nature and the solvent is polar in nature. So that's why they can't dissolve in water. So that small extent amount of oxygen can be replaced by the aquatic animals which are living in water. That is about the nature of solute and solvent. The effect of solubility of gas in liquid. Okay, how the solubility of gas in liquid will be affected by the nature of solute and solvent means, so polar solutes can dissolve in polar solvents. So HCl gas is polar in nature, so it can dissolve in water because it is also in polar in nature. And hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, both three are non-polar in nature, so they can't dissolve in water. But in these three, oxygen only can dissolve in some extent only in water. So that amount of oxygen can be replaced by the aquatic animals. Okay now. Next one is after the temperature. Temperature. So how the temperature is showing effect means, so take a container and in it, so here liquid is present, that means suppose take it as in water, and here gas is present. Okay. So now next this is a liquid and it is a gas. Now increase the temperature. By increasing of the temperature, what we can observe here, that means heat the substance, the content which is present in the beaker. What we can observe, the expansion of substances will take place by rising of a temperature. By raising of temperature, the gas will expand more. So that's why the solubility process automatically decreases. That means if one substance should soluble in other substance means they should come to close to each other. But here, whenever you are rising the temperature, the expansion of substances will take place. It is nothing but the solubility process will decreases. So opposite to this one, if the temperature is decreases, when the temperature decreases, solubility increases. Solubility increases. Okay now. So by increasing of temperature, the solubility decreases, and by decreasing of temperature is nothing but gas will come closer. That means the molecules which are present in the gaseous state are come closer to each other, and whenever they are coming like that means they slowly turns into the liquid form. That means they can dissolve in liquid. That means already we know the liquefaction of gases. How we are converting the gas into liquids is by decreasing of a temperature. Here also the same thing. By decreasing of a temperature, the gas molecules come closer to each other and they can be dissolved in liquid. Okay, it is about the effect of temperature. And next one is an effect of pressure. So in solids, the pressure is not showing the much effect. Okay, now I'm solubility of solid in liquid. But in gas, it can show the effect. That means, so take a piston. So now apply the pressure. What we can observe? So by increasing of a pressure, the solubility will increases because they are coming close to each other. So take here. So take a beaker. In this one contains liquid and also gas. And whenever we are applying the pressure, the gas molecules will come closer to the liquid. That means here the gaseous molecules will come closer to each other, and they can soluble in the liquid substance. substance. Okay, now so that's why by increasing of pressure, solubility increases. Solubility increases. Next, by decreasing of pressure, solubility decreases. By increasing of pressure, solubility increases, and by decreasing of pressure, solubility decreases, because here these two are directly proportional and here inversely proportional. Okay, now it is about the effect of substances. Sorry, effect of pressure on solubility of gases in liquids. Okay, now and next one is Henry's law. Henry's law. Our next topic is Henry's law. So, already we discussed about the pressure and solubility. No? So, by increasing of pressure, what we are observing, the solubility is increasing. So, solubility is increasing is nothing but the concentration of a solution is also increases. Solubility is nothing but here the dissolving of solute particles in solvent. If more amount of solute is dissolving in solvent means the concentration of the solution is also increases. So that's why by increasing of pressure, the solubility can be written in terms of concentration. Okay now. So by increasing of pressure, concentration of a solution also increases. Can you write like this? Yes. Because solubility is increases, nothing but concentration of a solution is automatically increases. So how we are expressing the concentration of a solution? So we have the different terms: molarity, molality, normality, and also mole fraction and some more are there. So in all these three, now I am taking a mole fraction. That means pressure. So here pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction. Isn't it or not? So by increasing of pressure, solubility is increases. That means both are directly proportional to each other. And solubility is increases nothing but indirectly we are saying that concentration of a solution is increases. That concentration of a solution I am expressing in terms of mole fraction. Pressure is increases, the mole fraction of the solution is also increases. Why I am taking mole fraction only here? Why not the molarity, and normality means it is an easiest term, because what is the definition of a mole fraction? The number of moles of a solute to the total number of moles of a solution. Here there is no temperature and pressure, so that's why I am taking mole fraction. So pressure is directly proportional to the mole fraction. Suppose this one can be written as P is equals to KHX. It is nothing but whenever we are removing the proportional means we should keep one constant. I am taking here the constant as KH. Here KH is called as a Henry's constant. KH is called as a Henry's constant. So now let us see the definition of Henry's law. What is the definition? From this equation we can see the definition. The partial pressure applied by any gas on the liquid surface is directly proportional to its mole fraction. So what is the definition? The partial pressure applied by any gas on liquid surface is directly proportional to its mole fraction. Is directly proportional to its mole fraction. This is the definition. The partial pressure applied by any gas on liquid surface is directly proportional to its mole fraction. Okay. It is nothing but, so suppose take the temperature. How the temperature is showing effect on solubility? If the temperature is increases, solubility decreases. That means both are inversely proportional. Okay now. You can write as a temperature is inversely proportional to solubility. And what is the pressure and this one? So if we keep the pressure as constant, constant, the mole fraction will be inversely proportional to KH term, you know. Suppose that means here I am writing, okay. So P, suppose X is equals to K pressure by KH. Is it okay? X mole fraction is equals to pressure by Henry's constant. If the pressure is constant means X is directly inversely proportional to KH. If mole fraction is increases, Henry's constant values decrease. Both are inversely proportional. Okay now. So here mole fraction is nothing but what? Solubility only, you know. If the solubility, that means solubility is increases, KH value decreases. KH value decreases because both are inversely proportional to each other. So from these two equations, what we can write here? By rising of a temperature, both are inversely proportional. Henry's constant, here solubility is decreases. So here, if the temperature is increases, KH value is also increases. That means Henry's constant value also increases. It is about the Henry's law. Now, plot a graph in between the partial pressure and mole fraction. So take a partial pressure on y-axis and mole fraction on x-axis. Here we will get a graph, straight line passing through the origin, and the slope will be equals to Henry's constant. It is about the Henry's law. Okay. So we can write here as an P is directly proportional to X. It is that your P is equals to KH into X. Here KH is nothing but Henry's constant. Okay now. And next, how the temperature is showing the effect on solubility means temperature is inversely proportional to the solubility. And next, how the mole fraction is showing here. So solubility by increasing, from this equation, by increasing of solubility, the KH value is decreases. From these two equations, we can write as an by increasing of temperature, the Henry's constant value also increases because both are inversely proportional. Temperature is inversely proportional to solubility. That means by increasing of temperature, solubility will decreases. Solubility decreases means KH value increases. Understood? Here, by increasing of temperature, solubility decreases. If the solubility decreases means automatically the Henry's constant value is increases. So that's why by increasing of temperature, the Henry's constant value also increases. So next, we are drawing a graph in between the partial pressure and mole fraction. So take partial pressure on y-axis and mole fraction on x-axis. We will get a line which is straight line which is passing through the origin, and the slope will be equals to Henry's constant. It is about the Henry's law. So once again I will explain about the Henry's law. So what is the definition of an Henry's law? The partial pressure applied by any gas on liquid surface is directly proportional to its mole fraction. Okay now. So that can be written as P is directly proportional to X. P is equals to KH into X. Why we are writing KH means it is a constant. While removing the proportion, we should keep one constant. That constant is called Henry's constant. H is the Henry's constant. Next, how the temperature is showing effect on solubility means by increasing of temperature, the solubility is decreases. Solubility is decreases for the gas in liquids. Here we are discussing about the solubility of a gas in liquid now. So that's why the temperature is showing inversely proportional relationship with the solubility. Next, so from this equation, so P is equals to KH into X. So we can write as we can send this KH to this side. So X is equals to P by KH. It is nothing but if we keep the pressure as constant. If we keep pressure as constant, so X is directly proportional. X is inversely proportional to KH because it is a constant. So inversely proportional to KH. It is nothing but by increasing of here mole fraction. Mole fraction is nothing but solubility. Already I explained here. Okay now. Here pressure is increased, solubility is increased. It is concentration of a solution. Solubility is nothing but concentration of a solution. Concentration of a solution we are expressing in terms of mole fraction. So that's why mole fraction is nothing but solubility. Solubility is increased means KH value is decreased because both are inversely proportional to each other. So from these two, what we by increasing of in temperature, solubility is decreased means, if the solubility is decreased means pH value increases. So that's right, by increasing of in temperature, Henry's constant value is increases. Okay, now for a given gas, if we increase the temperature, the pH value is also increases. It is about the Henry's law. Okay students, this is the today's class. I hope you understood the today's topics, and in the next class we are going to discuss about the colligative properties. Here we have the four colligative properties we discussed in the next class. Those are important for 4 marks question. Up to this syllabus we can get